The 2016 Reebok CrossFit Games version of Murph is underway. We mentioned Samantha Briggs right before they started here. She is the woman that won this event in 2015. And two champions out front. That's Katrin David's daughter, who won last year, and Annie Thoris' daughter, who is the only woman to win two CrossFit Games championships.
Annie Thor's daughter is the one who I'm going to watch to see, you know, guys, what is she doing this year? How is she going to attack this? It was something last year that we had never seen, and we were just a little bit, you know, anxious when we heard Murph came back up, just to see how her and Cara Webb both will attack this. And I have to wonder, mentally, will they go out too slow? I don't think that's the case, seeing how hard she charged right out of the gates.
Wow, you know, the way I saw these guys was they were racing. These women were racing for the stairs. And I understand you don't want to get caught behind someone, but we have a long event. So I don't necessarily know if that was something that they needed to do, unless it was more of a mental thing. Like, I want to get into this game and I want to attack Murph.
Last year, before Murph went down, Dave Castro huddled everyone together. It was something that they've never had happen before at the games. He gave them a little pep talk about Murph, and Cara Webb actually spoke about it and said that's what got her so jacked up, so pumped up, you know, hearing that speech and really doing this as a memorial type of event. Probably almost forgetting a little bit that they had a full competition ahead of them. But today, you know, getting out from the stairs is one thing, but how they attack this first mile here on the road, I really hope a lot of people did their homework, learned their lesson from last year.
Candace Wagner is out front early. The temperature right now, 70 degrees. And another thing that's different this year as opposed to last year, the individual athletes did this event in the middle of the afternoon when it was the hottest. We've moved it to the morning now. The temperatures are a little bit cooler. And it's Candace Wagner who is out front. But the lack of scorching heat right now is going to make a big difference.
Definitely is going to help. Right here, Jen Smith is walking. She had some issues in Aromas on Wednesday with her ankle, and so we're glad to see she's still in competition, but there's only so much she can do. She wants to push as hard as she can. It's her first time as an individual here at the games.
Jen Smith still in the competition. She hurt her foot during that 7K trail run. It was basically on the very first loop. She came limping back after that initial loop on the paved segment and was unable to complete that event. But it's the former Marine, Candace Wagner, who's on the left of your screen. Jen Smith is on the right. Wagner served 5 years in the U.S. Marine Corps, where she achieved the rank of sergeant. She has been to the games 2 other times. Her best finish was in 2010 when she finished 17th overall.
Running is definitely one of her strengths, and so maybe her strategy here is to get out early, to use those 2 miles in this event to get ahead of the rest of the field. But we saw last year, when you do go out too hard, typically it's not a lead you can keep in an event so long like Murph.
Sean, as Jen Smith was walking by, she was in tears. I saw her in the lobby of the hotel this morning. She's having trouble with plantar fascia. She thought that she'd be able to do Murph slow today, but she said it hurts worse than it even did yesterday. Also, keep your eyes on China Cho. She was the back of the pack leaving at Aromas. She said she had a little bit of an ankle issue. She had turned it on the trail run, so keep your eyes on those athletes.
Initial 1 mile run, a little bit different than we saw last year in 2015. And then after they complete this, it's back inside the soccer stadium here at the StubHub Center, where they will do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 air squats. But it's partitioned differently this year. Candace Wagner has made the turn and is heading back for that, but the way that it's set up, that's going to have an effect on how they attack it.
Yeah, when you have to do 100 pull-ups straight, you can get to a certain point and then you're worried about, like, okay, what kind of small manageable numbers am I able to use? And you're having to deal with that full just blasting of those muscles all the way through. With this partition set up, you actually get to let those muscles recover. So these athletes are going to feel a little bit better. They're going to feel a little bit fresher when they get up on the bar. They're going to be able to take bigger chunks of these movements, and it's going to actually allow them to move quicker through this event. So they should be that paired on top of the fact that it's a little cooler, a little nicer today, that the sun's not beating down on them as hard. I think we should see some faster times than last year.
I totally agree with you. The only thing you have to remember, though, is those athletes that don't have the lung capacity as well, they're going to be going a little faster. So when you partition it this way, you do get more of that lung effect where you can only go so fast on 200 push-ups. So you're slowing down. Your heart rate will slow down a little bit more muscle fatigue when you do them straight, all in one big set.
But there's also the mental part of that as well. You know, when you only have to do X amount, it's an easier hurdle to get to, and then that's going to kind of drive you along through those 5 rounds.
Sure.
Candace Wagner is your leader. Behind her is Anna Tunnicliffe, and then it's Sam Briggs in third. Katrin Davidsdottir currently sits in fourth place. And Kristen Holta is behind her. And now Anna Tunnicliffe is passing Candace Wagner for the lead, and Sam Briggs also gaining ground as well.
Another element that's a little different this year is these athletes, this is their 3rd day of competition. Last year they only had the swim. It was a paddleboard swim, it was long, there was some fatigue, but these athletes have already been through 4 events and now they're going into Murph. That's definitely different. Their legs have already been through the ringer with Wednesday, with the trail run, with the heavy deadlifts, the sprint. So I'm anxious to see too if we see any just signs of that, and when we're going to see that.
And I think that we will see some of that. I mean, this is a lot of just running, a lot more running than these athletes have done in a competition setting like this for the games. You know, it used to be if you had the one long run, then that was it. Then it was Murph, and that was it. Now we have both put together, and again, like you said, this is their 5th event. You know, so yeah, we're gonna see the effects for sure.
And I know when Murph was first announced, there was different people out there saying, can't believe they're bringing it back. I was celebrating. I'm so excited always when you get to see the level of fitness improve, and when they retest and repeat, we are going to see different numbers. Yes, it's partitioned differently, but I'm really anxious to see the athletes that did well, like Sam Briggs last year. Sarah Sigmundsdottir, who was a rookie, how well they performed last year, and now coming back saying, hey, it didn't affect me last year. I was strong, I was good to go, and now I get to do it again. Already done that, check, I can do it.
The top 3 women are making their way into the soccer stadium, as is Katrin Davidsdottir, who sits in 4th. More and more women now into the soccer stadium, and they will start that descent onto the field. Well, they will begin 5 rounds of pull-ups, push-ups, and air squats.
The women are re-entering through the northwest corner. That's the way that they went out. The original course had them coming in through the northeast, but due to the early morning dew that's still on the field and the ramps, it was extremely slippery. Still, that ramp down to the field is pretty slippery, so watch the athletes being careful. I also just talked to Anna Tunnicliffe's coach. Watch for her to go 12 and 8 on the first 2 sets of pull-ups with a kipping pull, with a butterfly kip before going back to a standard kipping pull-up.
Thanks, Rose. Samantha Briggs and Anna Tunnicliffe, the first 2 women in, as the rest of the field is getting set to join them. Samantha Briggs won this event last year en route to finishing 4th overall. It was her best finish since 2013 when she won the whole thing. And here's Anna Tunnicliffe, who, as you heard Rose say, plans on breaking up these pull-ups in the sets of 12 and 8. On the left is Candace Wagner. No lane assignments here. It's basically first come, first serve for the athletes.
Anna Tunnicliffe is one of those athletes that just does so well in the longer events. She did this one last year, so another year under her belt.
Samantha Briggs is done with her first set of 20. And now it is on to her push-ups.
There you go.
Getting a no rep from her judge. Didn't look like she locked it out the whole way. Arms need to be extended at the top, and that body armor or weight vest that weighs 14 pounds needs to hit the ground in order for the rep to count. Approaching the 9-minute mark here of the 2016 version of Murph.
It looked like as if she almost thought she was done and then had to go back for about 4 more. Sam Briggs just having a great start to this year's games. This is her 5th time to the games. This woman has placed no lower than 19th place back in her first rookie season in 2011 to 4th. Last year 4th, in 2013 1st. It's just an incredible resume when you look at her games experience and then where she places, because she had a lot of holes in her game years ago to still be placing that high in the ranking and ending up as well as she did. This year she's announced this is her final games. This is the last year. We're only gonna see the top and the best from Sam Briggs this year. We already are.
And Samantha Briggs is currently your leader and on to her first round of 60 air squats. Sarah Sigmundsdottir, who comes in 4th place overall, just 4 points behind Samantha Briggs. Had an outstanding performance at the regional. We saw her battle head-to-head with Annie Thorisdottir there. We knew that was going to continue going into the 2016 Reebok CrossFit Games. Carlene Matthews is on the left of your screen, and Chrissy Aramo, the rookie, is on the right. Annie Thorisdottir moving up to join Samantha Briggs on the air squats, and Sandra Pacelli, who's in that blue shirt next to Briggs. Thorisdottir currently sits in 5th place overall, and if she can come up with a top 10 finish in this event, look out, because a healthy Annie is a dangerous Annie at the CrossFit Games.
Not only physically, but then mentally, to be able to attack this, if she can get through it and defeat this kind of demon that was haunting her over the past year, making her withdraw from last year's game, that would be huge for the rest of the competition mentally for her.
Last year, Annie Thorisdottir said she felt pretty good through the pull-ups and into the push-ups. It was where the air squats were, she really started to feel it.
Well, and if you look at her squat right now, that's not a very pretty squat for Annie Thorisdottir. I mean, she's already leaning way forward, and that's going to show a lot of taxing on her back as we get into the further reps or the further rounds. I mean, if I was her, I'd go a little bit wider with that stance, try to keep that chest up and try to breathe a little bit more. Just like she's struggling already in round 1.
The body armor, though, 14 pounds, so that does make it does play a factor. She obviously is used to that. She
Right.
trains with that, so it's not like that's something new, but you know, it is a different element here in competition, and this is, like we said, the 4th event. She pushed it in Aroma. She pushed it on the hill sprint.
Jen Smith continues to walk. There is a 55-minute time cap for this event, and it's very likely that Jen Smith will not be making that, but the thing for her, this is a matter of pride as she remains in the competition after injuring her foot on day 1 of competition. That happened on Wednesday in Aromas on the 7K trail run. Samantha Briggs has just closed out her 2nd round of 20 pull-ups, and now 2nd round of 40 push-ups for the woman who comes in with 8 career event wins at the CrossFit Games, and that includes what she did on Wednesday in Aromas in the 7K trail run.
And the 7K trail run, no surprise how well she plays there. The biggest surprise for me so far has been how well she did in that deadlift ladder, taking 5th place in the deadlift ladder in one of the strength components. Those are the events in previous year's games where she has done poorly and has pulled her down and made her not take a podium spot.
Sarah Sigmundsdottir is working through her set of push-ups and keeping up a pretty frantic pace on those. Sigmundsdottir, one of the athletes who came over early, has quite a contingency of fans in the stands here from her native Iceland. She was training in Northern California in Stockton to get used to the heat. Katrin Davidsdottir, your defending champion, trying to work her way into the top 5 in event number 5.
Katrin, in that first mile run, she was all smiles running. She was looking forward to she wanted a more challenging, more difficult games this year. She spoke to us earlier about and just said, you know, the more crazy, the better. She got some of that with the surprise trip to to Aromas on Wednesday. And I wonder what her thoughts were on Murph seeing that long event. She wants a challenge. Well, here it is again for you, knowing that some of the other ladies have trained and they're going to make a push for it.
Davidsdottir has moved on to the air squats. About 5-6 athletes on that 2nd round of air squats, but Sam Briggs continues to lead just like she did in 2015 when she won this event.
Look at her composure. She just looks so, you know, opposite of Annie's squat, Bill, how you were saying about Annie's squat. Look at Sam, and Sam has never been known for her prettiness, her beauty in her squat. Sorry, Sam, it's gotten a lot better. It really has, and you look great.
She's so fun to watch. She's just so tenacious.
Well, this is the scary thing. Look at Sarah Sigmund's daughter here. Look at just the pain on her face. You can already see the toll that Murph is taking on Sarah, and that's what's so freakishly incredible about Sam Briggs is she looks like it's a stroll in the park.
Yeah. Now, you know, with the hands up on her head, she's just trying to be able to catch her breath. I mean, again, we're still early in these rounds. We have a lot more to go yet. It's not about trying to crush themselves through. You know, one of these things I don't really see. Actually, if you look just to the left, Carly Matthews is sort of doing it. Using their arms out of the bottom to help lift themselves up. They can actually throw their arms up in the air, you know, to get a little bit of momentum out of the hole.
Especially when you have a 14-pound vest on, especially with that extra weight pulling you down. You want to use every advantage you can to help you get up.
Carrie Pierce, who was a rookie last year at the Games, making her second straight trip to the CrossFit Games. Last year, she got here to Carson after having only done CrossFit for about 6 months. That's how talented that young woman is. But that's your leader, Samantha Briggs, now on to round number 3.
Wow, Samantha's still going with those large sets of pull-ups. That's amazing. She is, I love watching her on these long events. She never shows any sign of fatigue or of any sort of like stress or you know, trouble. She just grinds. It's amazing.
Always staying relaxed.
And speaking of grinding, that's exactly what Jen Smith is doing, just trying to work her way down the steps and join her fellow competitors at the rig known as Zeus, so she can get as good a score as possible and keep herself in the 2016 Reebok CrossFit Games. We saw this last year with Samantha Briggs with her push-up. She varies her grip, and she varies where she puts her hands quite a bit throughout these sets.
Yeah, it's super smart. Again, the movements are partitioned. And if you do that again, it's like you're repartitioning them again, or repartitioning them again. So you're not tiring out the exact same muscles the entire time. Move them around, do a little bit of chest on this one, a little bit of tricep on this one, a little bit more shoulder on this one.
It's working for her so far. Samantha Briggs continues to lead here. She took the lead on the last part of the initial 1 mile run. Candace Wagner, the former Marine, went out hot early. Hannah Tunnicliffe and Samantha Briggs were able to track her down, and now Samantha Briggs is all by herself in the lead. She is on her 3rd round of 40 push-ups.
Anything with upper body is just where Sam just kind of takes off to. We say about the endurance, but really her upper body, after she had the fractured patella back in 2012, it kept her out of the game season that year. We really saw when she came back, she had done a lot of upper body, and so it really has showed she's kept that strength. Fractured her foot last year, so it seems like she bangs up the lower half of her body, but she keeps on strengthening the top part. We see her do, you know, muscle-ups with vests and weighted muscle-ups. Just volumes and volumes. So pull-ups with a 14-pound vest, no problem for her.
Well, last year, Samantha Briggs did this event in 39 minutes, 10.1 seconds. And that was going straight through. So all 100 pull-ups, all 200 push-ups, and all 300 air squats in a row. The overall leader is Tia Toomey, and this was an event last year where she did not do that well. She finished 27th, 52 minutes, 44.8 seconds. If she can survive this, it's likely that she will keep herself in the top 3. But if she has a similar result as she did last year, she could find herself on the outside looking in when it comes to a podium spot. But still, plenty of events left. We don't know how many, but we do know we have all day today, Saturday and Sunday. Toomey finished 27th. Briggs, of course, won it. The Sigmund's daughter would be very happy with a similar result there. Annie Thor's daughter had problems with the heat, trying to improve on her performance. And Sandra Pacelli, who currently sits in 6th place, needs a better mark there to keep herself in the upper part of the leaderboard.
Pacelli's having a great start so far in aromacy with a long distance run in swim, so she's sitting at the top of the leaderboard, which is nice, but she has her work cut out if she didn't make improvements from last year in her training for this year's Murph.
The winner of this event will get 100 points. 2nd place gets 94, 3rd gets 88, and then the worse you finish, the fewer points you receive. The last place finisher receives no points. But Samantha Briggs is trying to put some distance between herself and the women she is chasing, most notably the rookie Tennille Reed and Tia Toomey. Meanwhile, Cara Webb is another woman who last year had a ton of problems with the heat, suffered heat exhaustion, passed out at the end of the event, but she is making a move on Samantha Briggs. Cara Webb clearly learned her lesson last year.
Very smart athlete. She loves the typical grunt work, the CrossFit style workouts, nothing too crazy and fancy. And so she was disappointed last year that she doesn't even remember that final mile run. She said she just totally went out too hard. Like I mentioned, Dave Castro gave a little pep talk. Her coach made her watch the movie that was dedicated to Murph the night before, Lone Survivor. So this year it was a little different strategy. They weren't going to give her the push. She definitely doesn't need the extra adrenaline. Wise athlete, and she definitely was very smart holding back a little bit.
Cara Webb currently sits in 12th place overall, and a finish towards the top of this event would certainly help her cause to get herself onto the podium for the first time in her career. And despite all the difficulties that Cara Webb had last year, Samantha Briggs is closing out her third round of pull-ups, or fourth round now. But Cara Webb still finished 5th overall.
That was what was so impressive. You know, it knocked Annie Thorsdottir out of competition.
Okay.
She took the bottom of the pack. But for Webb, yeah, still taking 5th, even despite her condition. So, you know, if she can keep herself in it mentally, obviously, that last run is going to be that much better than last year.
And Cara Webb is now threatening Samantha Briggs for the lead. Webb is on the right, Briggs is on the left, and both of them are on their 4th round of 20 push-ups. Sorry, 20 pull-ups, 40 push-ups, and 60 air squats.
Cara is so quick with those push-ups. Her sets are few, but they're fast, and that's really important just to minimize that time under tension with that weight vest. Just short, quick sets, really smart way to go.
I mentioned at the top of the show here that a lot of women were not happy when this event was announced for the 2nd straight year. You would think Cara Webb would have been one of them, but she wasn't. She wanted another crack at this thing, and she is chasing Samantha Briggs in the middle of your screen, who was the leader, now gets hit with a no rep, and Briggs looks like she's tiring a bit.
A little bit more for sure than we're used to seeing or than we've seen so far. But you know, with Cara Webb, it's not that she's just competing against the other athletes. Cara Webb truly is a true competitor. She competes against herself, and it ticked her off last year what happened. And so, I mean, she had the effects from Murph going into other events. She is a fighter, and if there's one thing I know about her, she goes back home and she makes sure if there's any weakness or any chink in her armor, she fixes it.
Samantha Briggs trying to hold off a challenge from Cara Webb. And despite the fact that Webb, and if you watched last year, you remember how awful she looked running in, looked like she was going to pass out. Webb still finished 13th in the event. Sam Briggs is among a group of women who are pushing for the first place spot here, as more women have joined these two towards the front of the pack. We got Carleen Matthews, Catherine Davidsdottir, and Carrie Pierce, who are also now joining that fight for the lead here in Murph.
And you know, that's it. Sam Briggs went out so much ahead of the game, so much ahead of the pack that it was easy to watch her, but some of the other girls pacing that out the first couple rounds, waiting to make their move. Now's the time to do it in the final round or two.
Briggs has been passed by Carleen Matthews, who is back on the rig and starting round number 5. She is your leader in this event. A handful of women have been able to reel in Samantha Briggs. Carleen Matthews, one of them. Catherine Davidsdottir is also pushing to the top spot, as is Carrie Pierce. Cara Webb is there. The 5th and final round for Carleen Matthews on the pull-ups.
Well, unlike other events where you are side by side with the athletes that are coming in, you know, on your placing, this was just a free-for-all, so it's hard for probably the other Sam to see both ends of the field where everyone is at, since you're so spread out.
But these are the type of workouts that Carlene does really well. She did well last year in Murph, you know, on her debut year. This past year has become so much more of an intense athlete, very strong, short range of motion for these the pull-ups, the push-ups, and the air squats. So that right there is where she was able to really kind of make up that distance on Sam, pass her up, and then we have to see what it's going to look like on that final run.
And like you said, she was here last year. She did this event. She was 4th last year in this event. That's got to give you a lot of confidence there. You know, it's just, you can't talk enough about experience, and especially when you've done the exact event and you get to do it again.
Sheila Barden is back on the rig, and she's a woman who did not do this event last year, and she's trying to score some points and move herself up the leaderboard. Barden is towards the bottom in 34th overall right now.
The wall ball event, that short sprint chipper in at the ranch just did her in with 50 wall balls. She just wasn't able to keep up.
Your top 3 were in the middle of your screen towards the right. Catherine Davids-Daughter is chasing down Carlene Matthews. Matthews is your leader. Davids-Daughter sits in 2nd, and Carrie Pierce is also in the top 3. Sam Briggs had the lead for a while, then these 3 women just crept up on her, and now find themselves out front here.
Catherine Davids-Daughter, you know, the unexpected win last year. She's a very smart athlete, and she's even smarter this year. Training with Coach Ben Bergeron, she does a lot of things outside of the box. They go and they do a lot of different style events, workouts. She uses her fitness, but there's something she knows, and that's her pacing, and that's appropriate timing. And in a workout like this, it's very important to know your speed and to know how you want to break this up.
You want to talk about just a changed athlete, Catherine Davids-Daughter. She went from finishing 30th in 2012, 24th in 2013. Then she misses the games, and a year later comes back and wins.
It surprised herself. So now, given that much more confidence, I'm so anxious to see how this all plays out this whole weekend, this long event, this long games being 5 days long, worth of competition, worth of events, and just her able to see with that confidence what she can do.
That's your leader, Carlene Matthews. Samantha Briggs did have the lead for quite a while in this event, but Carlene Matthews, Carrie Pierce, and Catherine Davids-Daughter were able to catch up and pass the woman who won this event last year.
I think the point here is just what we were speaking to before this even started. How it's partitioned makes a difference. Last year being the big sets, one time at the pull-up bar, one time, that's what gave Sam the benefit last year.
She's a stronger athlete for that sort of a setup, yeah.
But break it up and it evens the playing field a little bit more for these other athletes that have a little bit more speed and strength in the shorter chunks. Thorsdor's looking a little fatigued there.
Yeah, I mean, if you caught her squat, it's even deteriorating even more. So that this is just not a workout that's built for. Yeah.
I think mentally too, Bill. That's what I wonder. Like, it's hard not to remember those pictures that we replay over and over, you know, on the screen. She probably replays just as bad images in her own head.
Those are 2 of your leaders. Carlene Matthews is on the right. Catherine Davids-Daughter on the left. Matthews first of the air squats, but Davids-Daughter keeping up a nice pace here.
Now, they still have that long 1 mile run, Sean. So what I love to see here for Catherine is she's regulating that pace. She's spicy there. Carlene almost was looking a little bit more timid or a little more hesitant.
Carrie Pierce is off on the run, as is Carlene Matthews. Sheila Barden is also catching up with them. She's about ready to start her run. And now Catherine Davids-Daughter on that final run as well. So Carrie Pierce, the former University of Michigan gymnast, leads Carlene Matthews, who's making her 2nd appearance at the CrossFit Games. She finished 36th last year. And Catherine Davids-Daughter, this is huge for her because right now, Davids-Daughter sits in 10th place overall, and just about every woman she is chasing in the overall standings is still on the field.
Last year, Catherine took 12th in this event and was still able to take that first. So yes, this would be huge.
Now her squats, she really picked up the tempo on those squats to get right up there with Carlene. I'm wondering if the strategy for Carlene is, let me just make my way through this, rest up a little bit so that I can really put the pedal to the metal on the run.
Pierce is out front. Behind her is Catherine Davids-Daughter, who managed to pass Carlene Matthews on the steps, which is pretty difficult to do.
we don't typically think of Katrin Davidsdottir as a runner, but the thing is, she really did go out strong on that first mile, and I was impressed because I was a little surprised to see her out there with the runners that we typically think of as runners, and she did just fine to even get through that portion. So, you know, she's done some work in the offseason.
Totally. Samantha Briggs is off on the run as well. She will stop to get some water, and if there's a woman who can make up that gap, it's Samantha Briggs, and then two women out of the Pacific region, Cara Webb and Alethea Boone, joining Samantha Briggs, and Cara Webb has passed Samantha Briggs as they head up the stairs and out of the soccer stadium on this final 1 mile run.
And what a huge difference this run is already beginning for Cara Webb as opposed to last year when we saw her. I mean, literally finished not knowing where the heck she was. I mean, her head was all over the place. She was that smashed by the run and by the elements, and she looks great right now.
You have to wonder what the effects are going to be after this one for Briggs.
The usual suspects lead this thing. Samantha Briggs won the event last year. She's on the run. Alethea Boone finished second. She's on the run. Carlene Matthews finished fourth last year. Carrie Pierce finished fifth in this event.
Carrie Pierce, like you said, not only a rookie last year, but only had been training in CrossFit for 6 months. She's one of these newer athletes that just always is listening to her coach. What does her coach want to tell her? I guarantee her coach told her a lot about last year's Murph event and this one leading into it.
Annie Thorisdottir closing out round number 5, as is Tia Toomey. These are two of the women who did not do well on this event last year. They were just hoping for something in the middle of the pack, survive this event, and then move on to the rest of the competition. Toomey is your overall leader, but only by 16 points over rookie Tennille Reed. But this is the event leader. That's Carrie Pierce, who's trying to hold off Katrin Davidsdottir and Carlene Matthews.
And Sean, on that first mile, these women were coming in at about 7 minutes, 7 minutes 30. Look where we are right now time-wise, 31 minutes. So it looks to me that right out of the gate, we're going to have times that were better than last year's.
Best time last year belonged to Samantha Briggs. That was 39 minutes, 10.1 seconds. Sarah Sigmundsdottir, the woman who finished in 3rd place in 2015 in her rookie year, has started her run. She's on the bottom right of your screen. So Sarah Sigmundsdottir finished 9th in this event last year. A similar result today would certainly serve her well.
And you know, it's not that Sarah Sigmundsdottir, it's not that Sam Briggs is any less fit, it's that the other girls are that much fitter. They're that much better. They attacked this Murph this year a lot better than they did last year.
32 minutes. We are 32.
Past the 32-minute mark, and again, last year these women did this event in the middle of the day around 1 p.m. Pacific time. We started earlier, 7 a.m. Pacific time here in Carson, California. The temperature around 70 degrees at the time, but it is certainly started to get a little hotter here as Carrie Pierce makes the turn, heads back towards the soccer stadium. Davidsdottir is in 2nd, and it's Carlene Matthews in 3rd. Annie Thorisdottir going to the water. Water has been made available on the field for all the athletes, cooling herself off, and now she is out on the run. So Annie Thorisdottir, if she can keep this spot, she's got to be very happy with this.
Much better. I will say, I don't like to see exact same pictures, and she did that last year, pouring the water in her head. Just go for the run, Annie. You're good. But no, off to a much better. I mean, this just looking at her demeanor, looking at her run, this looks like her. She's still in it. As much as this probably took its toll on her, just like the other athletes, she's still in the game, and she still is definitely in a better position than she was last year.
And of course, everybody's going to look tired at this point of the event, but last year, Annie Thorisdottir was stumbling. She had her hands on her knees. She had some heat problems that she was dealing with throughout the back half of the event. Sandra Pacelli is on the bottom right. She came in 6th place overall, and she is falling behind many of the women who are on the final 1 mile run. But Carrie Pierce continues to lead, looking for her first career event win at the CrossFit Games. Her prior best finish was a 2nd place finish last year in the soccer chipper. Pierce with a pretty good lead over Katrin Davidsdottir, but Davidsdottir certainly not making it easy on Carrie Pierce And Davidsdottir starting to separate herself from Carleen Matthews.
Just so impressive. Katrin Davidsdottir, I really am impressed with her this year. Coming into this event, I did not expect to see her doing so well and looking so relaxed. She looks fresh. She doesn't look as fatigued as some of the other athletes.
But look what she's done, though, over the past year. You came out, moved to Boston so she could be close with Ben Bergeron, our coach. And you know, I mean, Ben is a CrossFit purist. So if you're going to have anyone that's going to do well at a classic CrossFit workout, you're going to have someone like that.
The other thing she did this year in training is really dialed in her nutrition, her diet, and she really got that under control. She works with a nutritionist, and so that, I think, is another huge component to your game.
Alessandra Pacelli is off on the run, and she is trying to hold off Katrin Davidsdottir among some other women. Pacelli coming in 6th place overall, and Katrin Davidsdottir is going to pick up some valuable points on Pacelli, Thorisdottir, and Sigmundsdottir. She can keep her 2nd place position right now and lock up 94 points in this event. The leaders making the turn, and they'll be coming back into the stadium, and a very good chance that Carrie Pierce, if she keeps this pace, is going to beat Samantha Briggs' time from last year, 39 minutes, 10.1 seconds. Again, same amount of reps, but partitioned differently in 2015. Davidsdottir still sits in 2nd, followed by Carleen Matthews. Matthews finished 4th in Murph last year. Look to improve that by 1 spot. Katrin Davidsdottir finished 12th, and she's looking to move all the way up to 2nd place in this event in 2016.
Katrin's in a great spot athletically right now. Just having the leader right in front of you, and you get to pick when you want to pass him, really puts Pierce in a very defensive position. Carrie
Pierce is watching her lead slowly shrink as Katrin Davidsdottir is starting to pick up some ground here. And now down the steps. Now this is where Pierce has the advantage, because obviously Davidsdottir is not going to be able to pass her on this leg, but get ready for a sprint down the field between these two athletes.
This is where it gets exciting.
Pierce and Davidsdottir on the field together. Pierce has the lead, and Davidsdottir is a little bit taller, but it looks like Carrie Pierce is going to be able to hold off the 2015 fittest woman on earth. And Carrie Pierce will get her first career event win at the CrossFit Games as she takes Murph.
What a performance. That was an awesome foot race at the end. But very impressive, Carrie Pierce.
Carleen Matthews certainly is consistent. 4th in Murph last year. She'll finish 3rd this year. Davidsdottir finished 2nd. Matthews will pick up 88 extremely valuable points, and she's going to move up the leaderboard, as will that woman, Carrie Pierce. First career event win. She came in 21st place overall, and here comes Samantha Briggs.
But it wasn't another first like we were expecting. Things changed a little bit for Sam there with the other athletes, but still a top 5 performance.
Samantha Briggs is going to beat her time from last year by a sizable margin. Briggs comes in 37 minutes, 43.18 seconds, and another woman who did extremely well in this event last year, Kristen Holta. She was 3rd. She'll be 6th in 2016. Make that 5th with a time of 37 minutes, 57.95 seconds. And this is big. Sheila Barden, who had a tough start on Wednesday, spoke to her at the end of the day in aerobics and said she's looking forward to getting back here to Carson and facing some movements that she knows she's good at, and pull-ups and push-ups are certainly one of them. So Sheila Barden coming across the finish line, 6th place for Barden, 38 minutes, 20.84 seconds. And Christy Aramo, the rookie, set to come across the finish line, and here comes Cara Webb.
Wow,
and this is a much different scene and a much better scene for Cara Webb. And look at the smile on her face as she conquers some demons with that finish. 8th place in Murph, just a year after suffering heat exhaustion and passing out at the end of this event. Alethea Boone is in. her trademark somersault across the finish line. And now Annie Thorisdottir, who does look fatigued, but still looks pretty good compared to what happened last year. And this will be a good result for her if she can just stay in the middle of the pack.
And these athletes, with Annie, she knows this stuff. She knows the experience, has experience there. And if it's going to be a workout that is, or an event that's not in your wheelhouse, it's just about damage control. You just have to do okay in this, make it through it.
The good thing for Annie is there's nobody around her, so there's really no need to push it.
Right.
If she would get herself into trouble, if she had a foot race like we saw with Pierce and David's daughter, but for Annie, if she can just hang here and kind of watch her position, there's no need to push it too much.
And plenty of events to go for Annie Thorisdottir. She comes in with 12 career event wins before this year at the CrossFit Games, so she can do damage in the games. Anna Tunnicliffe is ahead of your overall leader, Tia Toomey, who is trying to now do damage control, as many of the women who are right behind her in the overall standings have already finished, and she did not have much of a lead on Tanil Reed or Samantha Briggs. And Sarah Sigmundsdottir is one of the women who's trying to catch up with Tia Toomey, and she is going to do herself a favor as she is set to come across the finish line. And Sarah Sigmundsdottir, not as good as last year, but in the big picture of the competition this year, this will be a great finish for her. Sigmundsdottir will come across in 11th place in the event. We've had a couple more women finish. Caroline Reason-Tebow finished in 10th. That was after Alethea Boone, and now Sarah Sigmundsdottir is across. 40 minutes, 31.08 seconds. And now more women inside the soccer stadium. Emily Bridgers is in. China Cho has finished. Turi Helgadottir is across the finish line. Alexis Johnson just finished up. Annie Thorisdottir into the stadium. Tanil Reed, the rookie, who came in second place overall, finished up. And now here's overall leader Tia Toomey, who is going to fall down the leaderboard, as there's a very good chance that Samantha Briggs could take over the top spot
But Sean,
on the overall leaderboard.
It's only Friday, and last year we didn't even talk much about Toomey. She crept up into second place, taking the second overall, and didn't place very well here. So yeah, while it seems, you know, not great for today, and where she's going to probably finish up today, there's still plenty more events to go. And Toomey is definitely a stronger mentally and physical athlete than we saw last year.
Tia Toomey is across the finish line. And Annie Thorisdottir is definitely going to improve on her finish. Last year in this event, she was 33rd in 2015 and almost passed out another former champion. Camilla Blanc-Bazinet in the yellow shirt is right behind her. Camilla Blanc-Bazinet won the 2014 Reebok CrossFit Games. And then rookie Tasia Persevich in the blue pants now passing Annie Thorisdottir on the steps.
Well, that's just it. You know, where they're placing in this event, I think it's important. It is, but for some of these athletes, it's even more important the condition they're finishing this event in for the rest of the events for today, tomorrow.
Annie Thorisdottir saw those two women pass her, and now she has kicked it into another gear. She tries to catch up with Tasia Persevich and Camilla Blanc-Bazinet as we have a foot race towards the finish line. And Camilla Blanc-Bazinet is going to get the best of that one ahead of Tasia Persevich, but Annie Thorisdottir, mentally for her, this is a victory.
Sure is. That was the foot race I didn't want to see for her. That was the push that her body she didn't want either. But that mentally, she got through Murph, and she, as painful as she looks like, the pain she's in is better than last year.
Lauren Fisher was across. Christy Adkins is across as well. Annie Thorisdottir stripping that vest. And there's Candice Wagner, the woman who is in the lead for much of the first 1 mile run, and now Sandra Pacelli getting set to cross the finish line. Wagner finishes 27th, so Pacelli will come in 28th place, 43 minutes, 36.03 seconds. And Jen Smith has made it through the pull-ups push-ups, and air squats, all 600 reps. She walked a mile to start, and she's going to try to hustle through this final mile. There's a 55-minute time cap, so there is a chance that Jen Smith on a bad wheel could get inside the time cap.
That's not just all heart, but there's so many people out there that can't get through this workout healthy in the time that Jen Smith has already done this. So it just goes to show the level of fitness that these women really are at. And Jen Smith, just keep pushing, girl.
Stacy Tovar is coming across the finish line, and you would think with an injury that Jen Smith would be dead last. She's not. That's the woman who currently is behind Jen Smith, and that is Meg Reardon, another Games rookie. But very often the most impressive performances we see at the CrossFit Games are not from the athletes that win. It's from the athletes that are battling some sort of adversity, some sort of injury. We've seen it throughout the years. And if Jen Smith can get back inside the soccer stadium, this crowd is going to erupt, and she has 10 minutes to do it.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. It's just such a gutsy performance, and people love that. People love the winner, but they cheer even louder for the underdog that they know has something affecting them, that they're the hardship.
Michelle Letong is coming across the finish line. She will finish 31st, so a handful of women still have not come across the finish line, and now 2 more women finishing up. That's Carlene Fuhrer and Justine Beeth. Fuhrer was first. She'll finish 32nd. Justine Beeth will finish 33rd. Beeth in the yellow shirt, Fuhrer just stripping off her vest.
Margot Alvarez, being the great sportsman that she is, she's helping her out to get that vest off.
Becca Voigt, who has been to the CrossFit Games 9 times. She's 35 years old. She's the oldest competitor in the field. But what a career that woman has had.
Very wise. She knows her body. She knows her age. She knows where she's at. And it might look like, oh, she looks so relaxed. She knows it's a long competition, and she knows her body. She's not looking to have any issue, making it through the weekend. She wants to get through them all. It's not just about Murph.
Becca Voigt's best finish at the CrossFit Games was in 2011. She was on the podium when she finished in 3rd place. $55-minute time cap here on Murph, the 2016 version. And Meg Reardon passing Jen Smith on the run. So now Jen Smith is in last place. 8 minutes to go to finish up, and still managing to smile here. And for those of you who may be new to this sport, I know I'm supposed to be impartial, not supposed to be cheering for anything, but I want to see Jen Smith get back in this soccer stadium so you can hear the ovation that she's going to receive from this crowd as Becca Voigt descends down the stairs. She's back on the field, and she'll close out her event inside the 55-minute time cap. Only individual to compete at the CrossFit Games 9 times.
And it is so impressive at 35 years old. There's been, speculation, is there going to be a Masters division next year at 35? If there is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you might be looking at your winner.
Well, she won't go there, Sean. She won't do it. She's going to go for the women's division.
Every year that we preview the California Regional, she never gets the attention that she deserves. It's because there's so many heavy hitters in Northern California and Southern California that you forget Becca Voigt, but the most consistent athlete out there.
Yeah, that is, she will not, you don't pick her to win any event. Right. She will always be in the mix in every event. She's just so consistent in everything that they throw at her.
And no big weakness. There's nothing that really takes her out.
This is the remaining drama taking place here in Murph as the majority of the field has come across the finish line. Jen Smith is on her final mile run. She is obviously walking that because of an injury that she suffered on Wednesday. Another woman still on the run is Emily Abbott. And this is one of those events that Emily Abbott was just trying to survive. She finished 8th at the CrossFit Games last year. That's a career best finish for her.
Emily Abbott likes to just throw weight around.
She is about grunt work.
She'll get an opportunity to do that later on.
We don't know how many events remain for these women. This is the 5th one, but we do know they have the rest of today, they have Saturday and Sunday. This is also the first time in CrossFit Games history that we've had 5 straight days of competition. We've had off-site events on Wednesday in the past, but then Thursday was purely a rest day. They stuck them in the water on Thursday and made them do a 500-meter swim. I mean, it was a light day, but still, usually that's a day dedicated to rest.
I just love that they mixed it up. People were getting a little, I don't want to say too comfortable, but they were used to the schedule. All right, I swim on Wednesday. My coach and I were going to talk on Thursday. There's nothing wrong with that because over a couple of years, they just got accustomed to it. So you expect it. So I love the little monkey wrench. Keep them on their toes. Train for the unknown, unknowable. You don't. That means anything goes.
I don't think it was a physical attack on them having to do the swim on Thursday. It was a mental attack.
Right.
They still had to mentally get up. They had to mentally prepare. They had to mentally do well. So it was the mental aspect that was thrown into that.
Well, Meg Reardon is getting set to come across the finish line. Reardon, the Games rookie, out of the Atlantic Regional, where she finished 3rd, won the final event. That helped her get here to Carson, California. And Emily Abbott now climbing down the steps as we have less than 5 minutes to go before we hit that 55-minute time cap.
And Emily Abbott, this is her 3rd consecutive game. She took 8th last year. Very impressive finish for her. Doesn't get a lot of credit. Doesn't get a lot of screen time, but very impressive with last year's, given how hard last year's games was.
Emily Abbott, one of 3 women who are still on the run. She's about to finish up. The other 2 are Whitney Capalucci and Jen Smith. 55-minute time cap, and Emily Abbott is done. Whitney Capalucci was the woman who was behind Jen Smith. I'd misidentified her as Meg Reardon, but it was Whitney Capalucci who was behind Jen Smith, and now Capalucci, the only healthy woman.
Well, not too healthy. She actually recently suffered a hamstring strain, so not exactly sure, if that's playing a part in any of this or in the pacing that she's doing here on the run.
The only woman not walking. I'll
say that.
I'll revise that statement.
I think that's something to talk about, though. These athletes are training at the highest level coming into competition. They're not, majority of them are not coming in here feeling 100%. They are banged up. There's little tweaks, there's little nags, there's things that they're coming in with. And so, unfortunately, that's just kind of the luck of how it goes. But yeah, some of these athletes do have little things. They don't always want to share it with everybody either.
You know, and one of the things that with Jen Smith, you have to think, we have a very long week for these athletes. The question is going to be thrown at Jen, okay, should you have even done this? Should you keep pushing as hard as you're pushing right now? Or, I mean, are you planning to withdraw? Is this going to make your injury worse? Is it going to make, is it going to benefit you to keep on pushing? And this is where the athlete part starts to step in. You can talk strategy all you want, but at some point you're going to be sitting in the room by yourself and thinking, did I do what I needed to do, or am I going to feel okay with this? And with Jen, she's being the athlete. She's like, I'm going to push what I have because that's what I'm here to do.
I love that she's doing that. She missed out going to the games the past 2 years with with the skin of her teeth, missed it, and was on the demo team. She's been here apart, so close to it being on the demo team. She has her opportunity here. Go for it.
And one other thing I'll say about this is the difference will be if you're putting yourself at risk to be in the top, then okay, maybe be a little bit more cautious if you need to kind of play with that. But right now, I mean, she's already known she had issues on the first run, issues on the deadlift. You know what? You got to go and do what you're going to do because she has to make herself feel good with her performance here. So if she's going to be in the bottom half, then you know what? Go out with the bang.
This is when you have fun. Remember Julie Fouché? You have fun with it. This is when you just keep going. You do what you can, and you see, where can my fitness take me when something like this comes up and unexpected?
You know, I'm a proponent for go big or go home. That's the way I like to ride my life.
That's why we love you, Bill.
Yep, that is a fact. Whitney Capalucci coming across the finish line. That means that Jen Smith on the bottom right of your screen is the only woman left on the course, and she is getting close to making the turn into the soccer stadium here. And we have a minute and 6 seconds to go before we hit the time cap. So Jen Smith looks like she's going to make it at least inside the confines of the soccer stadium, probably not across the finish line. But the crowd here in the soccer stadium, a lot of them are on their feet awaiting her arrival, as we have 45 seconds to go before we hit the time cap.
We want her to at least get the ovation and at least hear the cheers from the fans.
Jen Smith about to make her way into the soccer stadium. 30 seconds before we hit the time cap, and she is getting the salute from the crowd that she deserves. On the leaderboard, Jen Smith is not going to get any points for this event. But right now, the way this crowd is saluting her, I don't think she cares.
And you know the impressive thing, Sean, 3 zeros, and she still is not in the bottom of the leaderboard. She is not in last place.
Just a testament to the fitness of Jen Smith, and probably a result, again, on the leaderboard that she'd want to forget, but certainly not an experience that she's ever going to forget. But here are your top 3 women in the 2016 version of Murph. It's Carrie Pierce holding off Catherine David's daughter, and then Carlene Matthews, who finished 4th